is ready. Ready on the right, ready on the left.
Hey everybody, this is Levi with Saved Rounds. Now, no, I'm not a mime, and that's not me you're seeing on the camera. We're trying something new today with these interviews, and who we have today is Octavio from Frontsight. He is our guest, so welcome, Octavio.
Yeah, glad to be here, brother.
And we are going to ask you some questions. I'm off camera doing this, and we're going to just go from here. And Joseph's going to make it look beautiful like he always does because he has that magic edit touch because he's our editor and producer, even though he doesn't get paid like one. So, okay, let's get started. So, no questions today as far as Bible questions. We'll have that next week. And we have a bunch of interviews coming up this month for you all to know about. But here is the first question that I want to ask you. Obviously, you are at Frontsight.
I am.
How long have you been there?
I've been there since 2016, so almost 9 years.
9 years. Okay. Okay. So you've been there since when?
I've been there since 2016.
2016. And tell me a little bit about the ministry. What is it?
So Frontsight is a military ministry. It started out of Calvary Chapel, Golden Springs, and there was a need to reach our military, not veterans at the time. It was active duty military. A lot of them were coming home, and the mothers and families were just having a difficult time receiving their loved ones who had left and now had returned, but they were different. And so there was a need there, and these praying moms got together. And as they got together, they started inviting their sons and daughters to connect. And as the Lord started moving, they connected, and it was the beginning of Frontsight Military Outreach, which was back in 2015. And so we're here to serve our community, our veterans, our active duty military as well. And it's been a blessing just to be able to minister to them through the living word that we have in the Bible. Okay.
And now the ministry has turned into a Sunday morning, right?
It has, yes.
And now you have Sunday officially became Calvary Chapel Frontsight.
So we are Calvary Chapel Frontsight, and the ministry aspect is Frontsight Military Outreach.
And you are now an ordained pastor?
I am an ordained pastor. Yeah, who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So for any of us. So, yeah, never would have thought in a million years. And then the next question I have for you is, so tell me a little bit about your story of how you came to know Jesus and just kind of your testimony here.
Okay. It's one of those that I can look back now. And I was a young kid, I was probably about, 13, 14. And the first time that I was introduced or had some kind of interaction with the Lord, I got invited by a friend of mine up to the mountains, and I thought we were just going camping, but it was a church trip. And oddly enough, I still couldn't grasp around it. I grew up a Catholic, and so I went through, the whole being baptized as an infant and, doing my first communion and ultimately, doing the confirmation aspect of it, but had no knowledge really of what was going on, and of the Lord and the relationship that we needed to have with him. And so I was a young man, and I came down the hill, and I'll never forget, there was just something different, and I was 13, 14 years old at the time. And, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how or what was taking place, but I knew that there was something different. And so now I can look back, and I believe that was the moment. I had made a profession of faith, and now I know that, the Lord's presence, even though he's there all the time, that was now looking back where I can say it was the beginning of my journey as I walked with the Lord. And so as a young man, I kind of still grew up and kind of was in and out of church, never a Christian church, still going, to the Catholic Church at the time, but because that's what my parents were. And but it's not until I was a teenager, early 20s, where one of my older brothers invited me to a church, and I recommitted my life to the Lord there in Riverside at Harvest. And I had never heard the word taught, line upon line, and I was mesmerized when I heard it, and so it was just like something so sweet, to my heart and to my soul. But this is something that, for me started, as a 13, 14-year-old, when I went up and had that encounter to the mountains, and the Lord was doing the work from that point on, and so I was already in the Marine Corps by that time. And as we kind of ventured in there, we were going to church here and there. And,
what you joined the Marine Corps?
I joined the Marine Corps in 1998.
1998.
And so I recommitted my life to Christ shortly thereafter. But that introduction was great, and so all in through that time, the Lord was doing a work in my life, and so, up until this point, now, I as I was just kind of growing in the Lord and kind of one foot in, one foot out, I was a lukewarm Christian. It was pretty awesome because obviously with my injuries and what took place in Iraq, not jumping ahead of myself, but, it was the beginning of holding on to and crying out to my God, my Savior, my Creator, and understanding that I was but a creation, and I had no idea who to cry out when I was laying in the hospital bed, unable to take care of myself, but the one who created me, and so the Lord has been gracious, and it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to now be able to share who the Lord is and what He's done, not in my life, but what He's done in a lot of our veterans' lives, and active duty for that notion as well. But it's been pretty cool. So as I mentioned earlier, it was 1998 when I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. I grew up in the city of Fontana, got into some trouble early on in my high school years, and I ended up going to El Monte, California, and after spending some time in Mexico with my grandparents. But nonetheless, I got my wits about me there when I was in El Monte at Mount View High School, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a police officer. That was my dream. And shortly thereafter, leading up to that, right, I was kind of laying out my plans. I joined the Marine Corps, went to boot camp in August of 1998, and upon graduation, I got orders to Infantry Training Battalion. And once I completed Infantry Training Battalion school, we as a machine gunner, as a 0331, I got orders to 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. And so I did some time there at Fox Company, good old Black Hearts. And so here in Camp Pendleton, next to the beach. By the way, I don't like the beach. Spend a lot of time in Zodiacs and cold weather. And so it's not what I like. But nonetheless, it's a part of the Lord's creation. And so
How long did you serve in the Marine Corps?
I was in the Marine Corps for a little under 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah. From 98 to 2007, I took my medical retirement in 2007.
Okay. And then are you okay in sharing about how you sustained injuries from an IED?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. And so, I was there in San Mateo for a few years. I did a couple deployments to Okinawa, Japan, with the 31st MEU, and my time was coming up. At this time, I was married to my bride, Vanette, and we had three kids, and Jacob, Octavio Jr., and Jaslyn at this time. And so time was coming up, and I ended up re-enlisting. By this time, 9/11 had already happened, and I re-enlisted, and I got orders to Edson Range, right down the street from here, as a matter of fact. And so I became a marksmanship instructor, and it was pretty neat. It was a non-deployable unit. And so what happened was a lot of my Marines that I trained up, they deployed and they did the initial push. And, I'm kind of sitting back and waiting for my ticket to be called. And so that time came up, and I called my monitor, and I requested kind of, the options that I had, or where the Marine Corps had availability. And one of them was right back to 5th Marine Regiment. And so I got orders after my time at Weapons Field Training Battalion to 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. And I was with Charlie Company. And in 2005, we deployed to Ramadi, Iraq. And while we were there under combat operations, my squad, or we were the quick reaction force to the company, we had conducted a raid, and we were en route back to Camp Snake Pit, which was our base, and we hit a roadside bomb. And the roadside bomb did a number on us. I was a convoy commander. In my vehicle was my gunner Helt, my commanding officer Captain Maloney, and also Lance Corporal Ragsdale, and at the time Corporal Furman. And we got hit pretty. We got hit drastically. The vehicle rolled over in an improvised explosive device. It was a daisy chain. So 3 IEDs connected together, 3 80 millimeter mortars, I want to say was the word that I got. But when it hit the vehicle, it launched the vehicle 40 feet in the air, and upon landing, it killed my gunner, Lance Corporal Eric Helt. And I would later find out, I didn't know at the time, but also Captain Maloney was killed in action that day. Myself and Ragsdale and Furman made it out. We were all hurt, burned, some fractured spines, but me personally, 70% third-degree burns through my entire body. And, it was a long road to recovery. But in and through that, there was a moment of despair. Coming out of the vehicle, I was engulfed in flames, and so I'm trying to put these things out, put the flames out, and we had been doused with diesel as the IED ripped open the bottom of the vehicle, and so diesel we were laced with it, and as I came out, it was a full-on firefight. And so we're taking small arms fire, machine gun fire, and I could hear the Mark 19, rocking and rolling in the background as well. But I'm trying to get this fire, off of me. And so I remember kind of looking around, and one of my Marines, Cold Snow, he put me out with a fire extinguisher. And upon that, I was just enraged at the time. My adrenaline is going. I'm trying to get in the fight, but I had no strength either in my right hand or my left hand to squeeze the trigger. Kind of a nightmare. Shortly thereafter, a couple Marines from 3rd Platoon who were on the convoy, grabbed me, and we took some cover. And I remember they were saying, Sergeant Sanchez, I was a sergeant at the time. They were saying, Sergeant Sanchez, we need to go. And I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to make sure that my Marines that were in my truck were out and they were safe. So I asked them, I said, where are the rest of my Marines? And they lied to me. They said, hey, they're behind that wall over there. Everybody's out of the vehicle. And so, that was good enough for me at the time, with fog of war and uncertainty, and kind of with the gunfight still going on. And I remember we kind of ran off and, got into the triage area. And I remember Doc Phillips started working on me, kind of cutting my camis off. And it was at that moment where my not anxiety, but where my adrenaline started wearing out, and pain started taking over. And so, but Doc Phillips did a great work. Medevac got there. We got loaded up. And that was the beginning of my journey to a 2-year recovery. A little more than 2 years, because it still continued after I retired, but, and really the fight for my life, and so I flatlined 3 times. That's what they told my wife. They resuscitated me 3 times, and all in the midst, the Lord had a plan, and he shared with me. It's almost as if I felt like he gave me a tour, a a little bit about hell, where there was condemnation. There was people kind of saying it was my fault. And I kind of felt, I don't want to use the word attack, but I was afraid because of everything that was being said of me, you know, and then I was taken out of there, and kind of, I remember seeing my entire family gathered together around a portrait of mine. Never saw a physical body, but it's as if I was, you know, in the sky looking down. And then the Lord said that I needed to tell them to repent of their sins and seek Him, and so share the gospel with them. And that's what we've been doing, you know. And so, like I mentioned earlier, you know, when I was lying in that ICU bed, not being able to do nothing, I realized that we are but a mere creation. And I cried out to the Lord, you know, and when people would come in and people would ask me, how can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? I would tell them to pray for me, you know, and He was He is my strength. He is my rock. He is my everything. And He's provided that for me. And so I can look back and I'm like, hey, I know where my strength comes from, and it comes from the Lord Jesus Christ. And so that's kind of where my military career ended, because I healed there at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, and I took my medical retirement in 2007 and moved back to California.
When in 2007?
It was July 31st of 2007 was my retirement date.
Okay.
And we just, my wife wanted to come home. The kids wanted to come home. And I wanted to stay in San Antonio because the prices were great, but we had a home.
Are.
Yeah. We had a home here. And so, you know, it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It was about making sure that the entire family was well, and we needed to heal as a family. So we came home to California.
Okay. And now you live where? In Ontario, or?
I currently live in the city of Fontana, where I grew up.
Okay.
And so we came back home to Fontana, and so that's where we stayed at.
And how far is Front Sight from where you live?
Front Sight is about a 15-minute drive without traffic.
Okay.
But you interject traffic in there, and it can turn into 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah. It's kind of like us driving from Escondido to Oceanside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's the neighboring city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I think about those towns, I always think like, man, they're way over there, because they're like an hour and change for us. So thank you for sharing all that. When you flatlined, was that like, did you flatline while you were in the hospital, or was that like after adrenaline wore off and on like in the battlefield you flatlined?
So from what I heard, that which my wife spoke of, because she talked to the doctor, the actual doctor that was there working on me, it was while I was in Germany.
In Germany.
Yeah, so I flatlined 3 times there in Germany, but it was one of the reasons why they didn't have my wife fly out to Germany, because they said, hey, as soon as we get him stable, we're flying him back to the States. And so they didn't want my bride, to be en route and something happens and I'm back, so we miss each other. So they just directed her straight to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio.
When they sent your wife there, did the military cover that flight?
The military did cover that flight. Everything was set up. They when she connected with the family readiness officer, I think that was her point of contact. Might have been one of the military wives there. They had all that ready for her. And so they just told her to pack her bags and go to the airport, and everything was going to be
Did she go by herself first, or the kids came too right away?
It was her, it was my mother, and initially, so her and my mom. Yeah.
To just assess how bad it was?
Yes. And so, because the kids, we had the 2 older kids, Jacob was 7, Octavio was 5, and Jaslyn was 2. And so, they needed to get there just to check out, make sure everything was good, kind of like recon the area or whatnot, But then shortly thereafter, we made arrangements to get the kids there,
Well, thank you again. And I remember you came, has it been How many years has it been since you came and shared your story on a Friday night?
It's been a while, man.
Like, are we talking 4 years?
I don't know, man, maybe about 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I don't know either, dude. So, all right. So I appreciate you sharing that. I want to ask you some other questions here. And so let's talk about the ministry aspect of this, because how long you been doing ministry now?
So I've been doing ministry for, what is it? I took over in 2019, so we're going on 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. And you said Frontside's been around since when?
Frontside's been around, actually it started in 2008.
Okay.
But as the nonprofit, it's 2015. Yeah.
I think I met the guy who ran it before you. He was a Marine. Because there was, when I was with Calvary Chapel, when I first started out as a military ministry leader, we were going to Edson Range and we invited Raul to come do a tour of the base. And this dude came with him, some big burly guy. I forget his name. I want to say his name is Eric, but I don't think it's Eric.
No. The only directors that we've had was Dave Ford, who's not burly at all. He's an Air Force veteran.
This dude was an Air Force
lieutenant colonel guy.
Yeah,
he's one of the founders of the ministry, and then we had John, who was a Marine. He was infatuated with the gym. He was just that guy loved to work out. And then we had Joe, who was also a Marine.
Oh, I think it was Joe.
And so, but Joe's a pretty big guy, so it might have been Joe.
I think it was Joe.
Yeah, and then came me. So I know you guys have had Fernando here.
Yeah,
and Fernando talks about that the issue with us is that they put on to lead Frontside nothing but Marines, and so
If you guys are not aware, listening, Octavio and Fernando, they're really good friends and they both help at the ministry. But Fernando, he's a soldier, and you know how it goes, the bantering back and forth. I'd have to say one of the funniest things that happened was when I can't remember if you had some kind of medical procedure or dental and you couldn't make it. And then Fernando's like, yeah, Octavio's at home because he chipped a tooth eating a crayon.
Yeah. He tends to use those all the time.
So, funny moments. All right. So, you've been there since then. So let me ask you this. What do you like most about doing ministry?
You know what? And obviously ministry, all that means is servanthood, being able to serve and the importance of the need within our military community. And, for most of us, we understand, and there's that hard number of 22, which is 22 veterans taking their lives every single day. And so what I love about it is that we get to serve the community. We're still in the fight. And with that, we get to see the lives that are transformed as they walk through the doors and they're in a bad spot and they find the camaraderie there at Frontside and they continue to come by. And then as time goes on, they're being, poured into and just loved on. And then to see the transformation, that takes place. Ultimately, we're never a finished product. We're constantly growing and getting better. And even along the ride, we have moments where we could fall, but the beautiful thing about it is that we could come alongside and help them. And that's what I love to see, the growth in our brothers and sisters and giving back. And so that's what I love about ministry,
Okay. And then what do you feel is the hardest part about doing ministry?
For me, the hardest part is watching the struggle, and seeing those that come in and that don't see it through, because you get them all the time. Guys that'll come in and they're in there, they're on fire, but then that fire just sometimes just is quenched, and they'll lapse or they fall back into their sinful nature, and that's the hardest part about it, just watching these guys deteriorate. And so, but it's also part of the fuel for us, in which we got to continue to plug away and to pour into these guys and search them out, and reach out, because sometimes they'll come in and then they'll go away. But when you don't see them, we're such a small community that we see that, and so when we don't see them, to make a phone call, but I guess to add to that, since I mentioned the 22 is, when you hear of our veterans, just that they're no longer with us because they decided to do the deed, and it's heart wrenching, and so that's the difficulty of it,
Yeah, it is. It's very. I know when Fernando was here, we talked about that and suicide, and I know you guys have had, was it 4 or 5 suicides?
We've our suicide awareness car show that we have yearly. We honor a veteran, and so in house we've had 2 of our veterans that have taken their lives, and the thing is the unseen. That's the difficult part, because outside it could be all fun and dandy, and it looks or appears to be like they're good, and what is it that we miss, right? We always look back and what is it that we miss, and so for us, yeah, we lean on the Lord, not our own understanding, but on the Lord, and that's part of it. But it's we've had the 2, Lance Corporal Tarazi and Staff Sergeant I'm drawing a blank here, bro. Ochoa, Staff Sergeant Ochoa. Yeah, and solid brother, man. With him. Well, I'll talk about Billy, because he was like a little brother to us. And Mama T and Bill Senior, they're still part of the ministry. They've since moved to Arizona, but they still continue to be advocates.
And for you guys who don't know, Billy, he was at the Anchor. He come to the Anchor a few times.
Yeah.
I forget the doc's name. I should know his name, but he knows Leanna. Doc Vasquez. Yeah, he brought Billy a couple times this way, and he hung out with us.
Yeah,
and I've met his mom and his dad.
Yeah. Beautiful people, man. And so the difficult part is that, right? The last day that I seen him, it was a Friday. He was walking to his mom's job. And she, Mama T, we call her Mama T because she's become a mother to all of us, and so I remember pulling up next to him. I said, "Hey, Billy, where you going, bro?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm going meet up with my mom, And I said, "Dude, jump in the car. I'll give you a ride." And he was like, "Nah, bro, I'm good. I like to walk. It's kind of, talk with the Lord." And so I was like, "You sure, dude? Just jump in. It's around the corner." He's like, "Nah, man, I'm just going to walk." All right, cool. And that was it, Hey, love you, bro. God bless you. And then I went home. And in that weekend, man, he ended up, taking his life. And so, we live with that. And that was Billy. But man, beautiful soul, and then our boy Staff Sergeant Ochoa, he was still in, and he had moved where he was serving. He wasn't, showing up the front side because he had been, activated, and he was doing some time, and he kind of lived a ways. And same thing, man, we got the call and it broke our heart, man, during COVID, and during COVID, and I remember we were able to, host his vigil and his service there at Frontside. Just figured, I don't know if they were going to push it back or whatnot, but like I said, it's difficult and it's heart wrenching, and ultimately, we lean on the Lord to get us through those difficulties, and so we got a mission at hand, and that's what we're here to do. Continue to plug away,
So now that you've been there, you mentioned that the demographic was active duty starting out, coming back. From what I've seen when I've been there, the demographics now a mix of some active, but it's a lot of veterans.
It's a lot of veterans, yeah.
And it's veterans from every war.
Yep.
So you have from Vietnam to the current.
Yep.
Any World War II?
No.
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 Okay. And is it majority is what branch of service?
It's a mixture between Army and Marine Corps,
Okay.
but,
Any first responders?
we do have first responders as well. And so the ministry is open to first responders and law enforcement as well.
Okay. So, before we close today, let's do two things. First, let the people know who are watching, how can they find you, find the place, and if they want to get connected, what do they need to do?
If you guys want to find us, we can be found at frontsightmo.org. That's our website. We're also through Frontsight Military Outreach on YouTube and Instagram as well. And we also have our Sunday service. And so it's at 10 o'clock. We're in the city of Ontario every Sunday. And along with that, we have our midweek service, which is at 7 p.m. every Tuesday as well. And so right now we're going through the book of Acts on Sundays. And we've just started the book of Zephaniah, the Old Testament minor prophet, on Tuesdays as well.
Tuesday, Zephaniah. All right. There's a book not everyone goes through.
Yeah.
And then any last thoughts or any last things you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. My pastor, Pastor Raw, has always mentioned a Bible verse, and it comes by way of Matthew 6:33, and it says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and he shall add all things unto you." And so that would be my encouragement, that this world will fail you, but the Lord never will. He's created us in his image, and he's done everything to the point of sending his only begotten son. And I think it's awesome when you truly realize who he is and what he's done for mankind, that there's no turning away. And so that would just be my encouragement. If you've never read the Bible, that you would seek possibly a Bible teaching church. And I know, you got one here at the Anchor starting shortly. And there's many well-teaching, Bible teaching churches. And so that would be my encouragement. Get into the word and allow the Lord to refine you and to reveal himself to you. Ultimately, he's what we need. And once you find that, man, there's no stopping us. And so God bless you guys. And thank you, brother, for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And it's been a blessing. And I know a lot of people are going to be moved by what you had to share. And there's always somebody who listens and can connect, whether it's you or Fernando or me up there or anybody else.
Yeah.
So, but thanks again. And I appreciate you making the drive down.
Right on, bro.
So it's been cool.
Yeah, absolutely.